Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice for radio, so today we're going to be looking at another exciting new trainer card from the Pokemon Sun and Moon trading card game expansion. It is Timer Ball. Now, Timer Ball reads, flip 2 coins. For each head, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So, we flip 2 coins, and for every head, we get to go and get an evolved Pokemon. Now, if you're wondering about the maths on this, you have a 25%, 1 in 4 chance of hitting 0 heads and getting 0 evolution Pokemon. You have a 50% chance, 1 in 2, of hitting 1 heads and getting 1 evolution Pokemon, and a 25%, 1 in 4 chance of hitting 2 heads and getting 2 evolution Pokemon. This is quite good, although on average you will just be searching for 1 Pokemon. Now, we don't really have cards that just out and out search for a Pokemon. We had the card Luxury Ball back in the day, but this didn't allow you to use it if it was already in your discard, so you could play more than 1, but you couldn't actually play it if it was in your discard, so that was a 1 per deck kind of thing. We had Master Ball that just let you search for a Pokemon, but this was an Ace spec and 1 per deck. We've got Ultra Ball at the moment, which is really our best shot for getting these evolution Pokemon, but you have to discard 2 cards from your hand in order to do it. So, just searching for 1 Pokemon is actually pretty good. Now, Double Tails is horrible, Double Heads is amazing. Just searching for a Pokemon is alright. Now, those of you that have been playing a little while might be thinking here of the card Jewel Ball. That allowed you to flip 2 coins, and for every head you search for a basic Pokemon. Jewel Ball was amazing. It was pretty much a 4 of in the vast majority of decks. If we saw a Jewel Ball reprint nowadays, it would almost certainly become a staple in the vast majority of decks very, very quickly indeed. But here's the thing. Generally, searching for basics is far better than searching for evolutions. We've got the basics we use to help us set up. Think Shaman EX, Hooper EX, and soon Oranguru, link to him in the description. But also, if you just want to be getting set up on turn 1, if you're playing an Incineroar deck, you need those Litten. If you're playing a Greninja deck, you need those Froakies. So, in the early turns, searching for evolutions, which is what Timer Ball does, is not going to be particularly good. Oh yeah, and at the moment we're in an EX heavy format, and all the EXs are basics, although we are going to be moving away from that in the future with our evolved EXs like the previously mentioned Incineroar, like Lurantis, etc. And clearly, the deeper we get into a format which revolves around evolution Pokemon, the more use this card will be. But there are some useful things this can do at the moment. Think Forest of Giant Plants. That is the stadium card that allows grass Pokemon to evolve essentially whenever they feel like it, as soon as they've hit the field, first turn of the game, etc. Now, if you're playing a Vileplume deck, you need to get your Oddish, your Gloom, and your Vileplume in order to get Vileplume out and lock both players out of item cards. So if you hit a double heads on Timer Ball, go and get yourself a Gloom and a Vileplume with a Forest of Giant Plants in play, that's really good. Or getting yourself an Oddish and a Gloom so that you can then play a Sycamore and all you're looking for is the Vileplume, that's really, really good. And let's not forget that evolved GXs like Lurantis, who also can use Forest of Giant Plants, like Decidueye, who can use Forest of Giant Plants, like something like Incineroar, could be very, very useful. If I've got 2 Littens on the bench and 2 Rare Candy in my hand, and I hit a double heads on Timer Ball, I'm going to be feeling really good. But even if I just put a single heads, well, you know what? I'm not discarding 2 cards from my hand to use Ultra Ball. This is really, really nice. Here's the thing, though. It doesn't get your basic Pokemon. It doesn't get your Shaman EX. It doesn't get your Pokemon from which you will be evolving. And that's a big problem. This cannot be a 4 of in decks at the moment because basic Pokemon are too gosh darned important. What that means is that if you're playing an evolutions-based deck, playing 2 or 3 of these at the absolute most, more likely 1 or 2, could be really, really good. If I'm playing something like a Vileplume Lurantis deck, video on that coming very shortly, and I'm playing a couple Shinotic in here to add to consistency, well, I want to be getting my Lurantis and my Shinotic and my Gloom and my Vileplume. Playing 1 or 2 Timeable here could be really, really handy in this deck. But if I'm playing something like a Volcanion deck, revolving around Volcanion and Volcanion EX, I am not touching this with a barge pole. It's a deck-by-deck proposition, I suppose, is what I'm saying. But even in the decks that like it, I think it's a 1 or a 2 of. So I'm going to have to sit on the fence here and give it 3 Wossies. It could well be that in the future this card becomes utterly, utterly amazing. At the moment, it's a 1 or 2 of in a few decks. And you know what? That's quite good as far as some cards go. Good friend of mine, Joe Bernard, Pokemon TCG of Omnipoke, told me recently, Ross, your Wossie-based system is now my new go-to. If it doesn't have 3 Wossies, it's not going in the binder. And I think that's a nice way to put Timeable. It gets 3 Wossies, you should have a couple in your binder, but it's not going in every deck. Now, you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There is a comment section. Go nuts, be nice. There are buttons to both like this video and subscribe to this channel, and might I kindly suggest you use them both. You can follow me on Twitter @TheWossie, and the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.